Be loving and polite. Treat them with respect and honor, but also do not give up your authority.
Help me, Mama!
Hi everybody, this is Emily for Help Me Mama. Today I want to talk about going to the doctor's office. Now before I begin, if you have not shared this video or your favorite video of mine, please do so now. And also hit that subscribe button. So here we go. For me, the doctor's office is a very intimidating place. And as you guys know, I have 3 kids under 4 and I'm currently pregnant now. And as you have more kids, the doctor's office becomes just a wilder place. There's so many things in there. There's a lot of waiting going on. So these are my tips and tricks. Besides it being a place with a lot of grown-up tools, very expensive grown-up tools, in my experience, especially with my own kids, I have felt belittled, talked down to, pressured into doing things that I don't want to do. There have been some bad experiences at the doctor's office for me, not because of my kids. Like, there were days when my kids were great, and it was the doctors who were terrible, or the nurses who I felt like were terrible. So how do you deal with all of this? It's like, I've been not doing a video on this because the doctor's office is like my nightmare most of the time. And I hadn't conquered it. I make mistakes all the time. And so if you can learn from my failures, I hope that this will be beneficial for you. So before I even get into this, I just want to encourage you to choose your doctor carefully, do your homework, find a doctor with good rapport with like-minded people, okay? That's number 1, definitely. I do like the doctor that I have now, by the way. I should say, it's not like I've rejected everyone. Number 1, you need to come prepared. So I have 3 under 4 or 4 and under. And what I bring to the doctor's office, what I did last time, which was the best time I would say, is that they got to each bring their special toy. My 2 older boys, they each have like a little stuffed animal that they love. So they got to bring that. And I also have these highlights magazines, but not the big kid ones. My great aunt actually sends us the baby ones. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen or heard of these before, but they're Highlights Hello. And they are really good, durable material, and they have like little, it's not just a story, they're like little poems, activities, things that you can do with your toddler, and they have like little notes of what you can do besides just read the book. So I have found these really helpful. I have we've been getting them for a couple of years, so I have a stack in my car and some at my house. So if you have anything like that you can just stick in your purse or have your kids hold them, or have them have a little bag that they can bring, whatever is easiest for you. So toys, books are great. Something that they will be engaged with for longer than 5 minutes. If you must, I would say you could let them use like a tablet or an electronic thing if that'll keep them engaged. But I personally don't want to allow my kids to become dependent on that sort of thing when we're in a grown-up situation. I want them to be able to engage and put down their toy. And you could make the argument like they're distracted by a magazine. What's the difference between that sort of thing? There is, I think, a difference between using electronics and then also just reading actual books and things like that, or playing an interactive game. So toys, books. Another one I didn't put on there is games. We like to play I Spy in the doctor's office a lot. And I Spy is good because you can play it twice. You can play it in the big waiting room. You can play it in the small waiting room. So that's a good one. In the big waiting room, if there's enough room, I've had my kids, my boys, if they were like running high on energy, they could do push-ups or like jumping jacks or like little contained exercise workouts, stuff that dad does, so it's kind of fun. When you're stuck in the little waiting room, one thing that's good to go over, I think, is all the pictures and posters in the room. You kind of make it like a field trip, an educational experience. And then to the extent that you can and that it's safe, you could do a demonstration of what the tools are used for. Also, another thing that you can do is use a couple of those gloves and this is like in a real pinch. I try not to take their gloves, but if you're in a real pinch, you blow up those latex gloves and you make a balloon chicken. The next one is paperwork. Be prepared. You got to know that you will probably have to do paperwork, especially if it's your first time. Remember to bring paperwork, the paperwork that you need. If they can send you paperwork before, I highly suggest that. One of the hardest things in the world is when you have 10 pages of paperwork to fill out with 3 toddlers. I mean, what are they even thinking handing you that clipboard? What? That's not going to happen. The next thing that I always bring, especially if you're getting shots, is lollipops. I don't know who in their right mind decided that lollipops were a bad idea after shots, but that is a terrible notion. Lollipops are the only thing that help you. If you get a shot, you, Mom, you want a lollipop. I don't care if it has sugar in it. That was something traumatic, okay? And when they're little, I've just started to explain to my boys, they're almost 3 and 4, why we get vaccinations and why they're important. They can kind of grasp it, but really the only thing that can stop those tears are kisses and lollipops. Stickers are not going to cut it. This is like the only time I will soothe my children with food is after a shot. I think it's totally called for. So the next one, and this is not so much about the actual doctor's office, the physical aspect of it, the room, the waiting room, the doctor's tools. This is about the pressure that I have often felt from doctors, and I don't know if I don't think that I am the only one out there, because I've actually heard from a lot of women just in my circle. We all have different opinions as a mom. There are people way further down the spectrum from me on either side, and I respect their decisions. But you, Mom, need to be prepared for the doctor not to respect your decision. And I would say, especially if you're a young mom, when you go into the doctor's office, you need to stick to your guns. Really, who is most concerned for your child? It's you. You are the best advocate for your child, okay? So if you are the person who loves your child the most, you are the person taking care of them, who knows them every day. I do not appreciate when a doctor will come lord it over you like they would be a better parent to your child than you would. So, needless to say, I'm very passionate about this, and I just want you guys to have a plan. If you are not vaccinating, you need to have a plan. They will try to pressure you to vaccinate. They might even kick you out of the office and say, sorry, we can't serve you if you're not going to vaccinate. So you need to have a plan. You need to have a polite response prepared for all of that. You might want to ask before you go in, can I do vaccines on my own schedule? Can I do this? Can I do that? The one time I was at the doctor's office and they wanted to do they wanted to draw blood for like lead poisoning, but like they didn't tell me they were going to do this, and all of a sudden they were coming in and drawing my 2-year-old's blood, and they didn't do it right the first time. And I liked the doctor. It was just the nurse's mannerisms that just weren't very good with my 2-year-old, and they didn't even ask me about it. So I had to, in a polite way, say, please stop what you're doing. Like, we're not going to do this today. We'll talk about it another time, but we're not going to do this right now. And you are the authority over your child and what happens to them in a medical office. The nurses are not, the doctors are not. You are entitled to say no to whatever you want. And you can leave. If you need to leave and get out of there, if they're backing you into a corner, I mean, really, there are times when I felt like I need to pick up everything and leave this office. If you need to do that, you can do that. But most of the time I would say, don't do that. Politely, but firmly say, no, I'm not going to do that. What are my other options? Or if you're a little iffy, sometimes when we go into the doctor's office, we're just not as researched, or they pose something that is something we never heard of, something we're not really comfortable with, but seems probably okay. I would just say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with that today. I have not done my own research on that. Let's wait until next time so that I can do that. And then if you don't ever want to come back, you don't have to go back. So have a plan for those weird situations. And I would say, as far as the demeaning comments that I have sometimes come across, remember the proverb, a soft answer turns away wrath. And I think if you ask things in a question way, the smarty smarts like to answer questions. So, for example, a friend of mine, she was just telling me that she went to the doctor's office and the doctor was scolding her for having 3 children and maybe wanting more. Oh my, she's a horrible person. How dare she want more than 3 children? Oh my. And she was like, I didn't know what to say. I just sat there and took it from this lady who's a total stranger to me. And I was just like, I mean, that just makes me mad. And so my thought was like, gosh, what would I have done? Probably the same thing that she did, is just sit there and take it, which is so sad to me that all of us moms just sit there and take it from these doctors. But something that you could do if you're in that situation being scolded is ask a question. Why don't you think that children are blessings? It's as simple as that. And it puts the onus on the doctor to explain themselves why they are scolding you for such a ridiculous thing. So I would say that about vaccines, like, why do you think these are so important? And you can let them do their spiel, and it's a little bit less hostile when you're asking questions politely. Which goes, okay, and then the other one I have over here is don't be intimidated. Now, I kind of already said this, but you are the authority over your children in the doctor's office. They cannot do anything. They should not do anything that you do not approve. And so if you're not getting shots, you make sure to ask them when you're signing all those papers, is this agreeing to shots? Because I don't want my children to get shots today. Is this agreeing to this? Because I don't want my children to get that. What sort of things are you going to put on my child's body? I don't want to sign that. Okay? So especially when you're signing things, but also you are the authority and you can take them out of there. Don't be intimidated. It's hard not to feel pressured, but try not to feel pressured. And the last one is just be friendly, because you might find a great doctor or a great set of nurses, but one person in that office is not very nice. And you want to find an advocate within that office just in case you get stuck in a room with that one person that you don't like. And I mean, this is a principle, this is a biblical principle. We love our enemies, we love our neighbors, we love those who are in authority over us, and we respect them. And obviously doctors are an authority on medicine and on the body and on things like that, but they are not an authority over your children. So be loving and polite, treat them with respect and honor, but also do not give up your authority. That's, to me, like the biggest one. That's the biggest problem I've had. I have felt, unfortunately, so disrespected in doctors' offices. You want your doctor to respect you. And so another thing is that when I go in, I try to like dress up, because, you know, I'm not going in my overalls. I'm going to go in my pencil skirt, my nice blouse, I'm going to try to look a little bit more professional, because professional women especially respect other professional women more than they respect stay-at-home moms. And that's not across the board. I haven't found that with everyone, but unfortunately I found it a lot. You get disrespected as a stay-at-home mom in the doctor's office. Another thing to do that's great that I have finally done is find a doctor's office that will let you bring everyone at the same time. Even if you have to promise that you will not cancel that appointment, because that's usually why they say no, find a doctor who will let all of your kids come at the same time. I cannot tell you, because you don't want to go in there. Nobody wants to go into the doctor's office. Like, I'm not going to make 3 separate appointments. I would be in the doctor's office all month. You want to make one appointment if you can. So I think that's it. If you like this video, again, please like it, share it, and subscribe.
Help me, Mama.